All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, hey everybody, thank you for attending. I just let me know that you can hear me, and we'll go straight to the Lord's Prayer. Yeah, you can hear me. Okay, great. All right, I'll begin with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Okay, so we got a good one for you here. Got a barn burner. I'm really excited about this. I'm going to get into this pretty fast paced, and I'm imagining this is going to go for about 45 minutes or an hour, and it should be a lot of fun. So, did anybody do what I asked you to do? It's fine if you didn't, and go to themysterymethod.net and sign up for my email series there, and maybe read the first email. Give me a number 1 if you did that. Give me a number 2 if you didn't. Jason did. Okay, great. Pete, no. Jonas, we'll do now. Okay, yeah, I just posted it. No worries. I posted it on Facebook about it like a half an hour ago at most. No pics showed up. Okay, you have to enable images at the top of the email. It'll give you the opportunity, and look for that, Jason. Also, if you're not able to see my my OMG at omgmachines.com emails going out, that's a real tragedy. Fletch, 1 week ago you did it. Awesome. Gary just hopped in. What did I request? Okay, Gary. I asked people before the event if they would go over to the mysterymethod.net and opt in to the email marketing sequence there. It's okay if you don't, but it'll get you kind of on a right track, because what I'll be doing for part of this event, we're going to be talking about something I'm really excited to share with you, which is promotion, and specifically the reverse death grip, which is something I invented and in my opinion is extremely powerful. And I have a lot of results to show for that opinion. Okay, so I'll just I'm going to create our kind of, not exactly PowerPoints, but I'll create our or our slides as I go here. So we're going to talk about the power of promotion, and reverse death grip. I have never exposed this technique. This is all new. So definitely have a pen and paper. This is us kind of ending off these Money Getting with Mike webinars. I'll be installing these into your members areas, probably as a part of either lesson 1 or lesson 2 at some point in the relatively near future. So I'll put all the replays of all the Mikes, the Money Getting with Mikes, and this is sort of the capstone event. Okay, so let's begin. So when I say promotion, Jason, you're saying no option to enable, so you're looking at an email. All right, we'll have to work on that on the side. I don't know why that's happening. That's strange. By the way, can everyone hear me well? Do I have any sort of an echo? Because I'm not using headphones. I kind of probably should be. Just make sure it's good. Sounds fine. I wonder, maybe the first email actually may not be an HTML email, but although I think it is. Okay, we'll work. Yeah, we'll have to just work through that, Jason. It's just not going to happen right now, just with the timing of the event. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, that's fine, Jason. Yep, you can forward it to me. All right, so regardless, we're just going to move on, or move forward here. We have a lot of folks on, which is exciting. So, and of course, that's a perfectly valid issue and concern, Jason. It's just not, it just doesn't wind up with the timing of things to be possible for me to help you with it. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the power of promotion, the reverse death grip. A lot of what we're going to be talking about today involves email marketing, but it has applications elsewhere. And something I want you to keep in mind, the two important ideas surrounding what we're going to be talking about is the importance of what we imply. And you've heard me talk about this a lot in a different way. People respect what you inspect. So it's not so much, it is important what you say, but it's equally important what you do. And you know, so that's the power of implication. So if we say one thing and we do something else, then we're sending mixed messages. If we say something and we do it, then we're sending a clear message. Right, very, very, very powerful to say what we are going to do and then do it. We had a really terrific Money Gang with Mike webinar while I was in Vegas, and Joe Marfolio came on and talked about how he tells his local consulting clients in advance what he's going to do for them. It's very structured. They'll get like 2 new videos a month and a certain number of new keywords a month and so forth. And he tells them that they'll get reports. And then he sends those reports to them. Very, very powerful. Does anybody here know what truly causes medical malpractice? Medical malpractice is obviously a massive, massive issue if you are okay. Nick, you're saying if you're on an iPhone, you have to change iPhone settings. Got it. So if you're what causes malpractice? Let's get answers to that. Somebody's actually already answered it correctly. Gary did. What causes medical malpractice? Suits. Fletch. Yep. Yeah. Oh, okay. Got it, Nick. Got it. Nick suggests, Jason, that you're having an iPhone settings issue, if that helps. All right. So more guesses on what causes medical malpractice. Got a lot of people here, so I know we can get a lot of guesses. Okay, yeah, definitely, Jason. We'll just drop it. Any more guesses? Give me the number one if you don't want to give a guess. Okay, Don's got it. Yeah. Everyone who's guessing is getting it right. If that encourages anybody, maybe that discourages you. All right. All right. We got a lot of people filibustering here. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Well, I'm not going to play chicken with you. I'll just move on. What causes medical malpractice suits is, well, some things that it's not. It's not the quality of the care. It's not whether you like the doctor or not. It is saying you're going to do one thing and doing something else. So saying that you're going to give people treatment A and giving them treatment B. I always kind of find it funny that I think the whole premise of the show House is pretty funny because that guy would get like sued for medical malpractice like multiple times every episode. But maybe Olivia Wilde just saved that show for a while. I don't know. I never watched it. My mom really liked it. Okay. But this is an important thing. We also talk about this broken windows. Who here has heard me talk about broken windows? I always like to know if the kind of important messaging I'm putting out there is seeping into your kind of by osmosis is seeping in. Fletch says 1. By the way, Fletch, that was an awesome email yesterday. It was really cool. Anybody else? Give me a number 1 if you've heard of it. Number 2 if you don't. Nope. Jonas, no. Nope. Jason, no. Don, yes, great. Abby, no. Don, no. Abby, yes, great. Josh, no. Okay, this is really important. Really, really important. Broken windows. This is from the book Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. The idea is that context is one of the strongest, if not the strongest, influences on behavior. Now, before you resist that idea, realize that one of the things that we can do is change our context. Last night I was unsubscribing from a bunch of newsletters and email reports that I get in from people I really just don't want to see. And I have, for example, I have 2 iPhone 5s. One of my iPhone 5s is to talk to everybody else, get text messages and phone calls from everybody else. The other one, I call it the Bat phone. It has a hotspot on it. My older iPhone has has unlimited data from AT&T. my new iPhone, it has a hotspot, which is great, so I can be theoretically on the internet anywhere. But the real reason for it is so I can have a line. That's the phone line that I talked to David Mills on and Greg Morrison. And there's the only two people in the world that have that phone number. And I don't. Greg and I talk quite a bit, but not nearly as much as I talk to David Mills. I talk to David Mills about 2 hours a day every day for the last 10 years, mostly about strategy. So what I'm doing by having a separate phone to talk to him is I'm not getting text messages while I'm talking to him. I'm not getting inbound phone calls. The only inbound phone calls I could get would be from Greg, and we're deeply involved with Greg in a number of businesses at this point. So if Greg's calling, there's a decent chance that it'll have something to do with a conversation I'm having with David, so we can influence our context. But anyways, there's a couple of case studies. The real simple idea with broken windows is that if you go into a room that has just trash everywhere, or if you sit down in a car that's really trashy, messy everywhere, then contextually we can find ourselves almost subconsciously just throwing our gum wrapper on the ground or whatever. And maybe you find yourself able to resist that temptation, but it's a temptation nevertheless. The cornerstone case study for this is in New York City in the late 70s and early 80s, when crime was just really, really bad. It was very dangerous to ride the subways, and just violent crime was really at a high, and it was really causing problems in the city. And what they found, that they were able to overcome it, but the way they were able to overcome it's interesting, because it wasn't like on Miami Vice when Crockett and Tubbs bring down a big crime, kingpin or something like that. What they did was they started cracking down on smaller crimes. A big one was people jumping over the turnstiles. They used to just turn a blind eye at that, trying to avoid paying $1 or $2 or whatever it would be nowadays. And one of the funny things is they found that people who commit small crimes commit big crimes. They caught a lot of murderers, rapists, big time thieves and so forth by doing that. They also cleaned the graffiti off the subways, cleaned up actual broken windows, thus the name Broken Windows. And they found that by making the streets cleaner, making the subways cleaner, and cutting down on these smaller crimes, then really that had an overwhelming effect to discourage larger crimes. So give me a number one if you understand that concept. I'm going to explain why that's important as we get into the reverse death grip in just a moment. Okay, everyone gets it. And now separately, give me a number one if you think you see where I'm going with it with this, or you can type in a short response as to if you think you know where I'm going with this, because I'm curious if I'm kind of telegraphing where I'm going with this, and I don't know whether I am or not. Not getting a lot of number ones, but people may be typing responses, so I'll just give it a second. Okay. Don says setting the scene. Okay, I'm not sure what that means, Don. You may absolutely be correct. This particular question is a difficult one to do just on the spot. I wish with GoToWebinar I could see when people were typing and so forth. That'd be nice. I guess you can see that on Skype, so it would have been possibly good to have a Skype chat up. Okay, well, if you had to guess, it'll help you learn this well anyways. So you may be typing something, and I may be cutting off, but either continue to type it or just realize that by asking yourself the question of why is Mike talking about broken windows when it comes to the power of promotion, reverse death grip, and email marketing, and the power of the implicit, then you've helped yourself. The main thing that we want to do in our marketing is not break windows, is not have a broken windows context, cause this medical malpractice style situation. We want to ultimately tell and signal people what we're going to do and do it. We want to check for broken backlinks. We want to really have our websites. The great way of looking at this is if you think about things on a scale of 1 to 10, then we really only need to be a 9 to 10 at one thing. Okay, so for example, at OMG, we really just try to be a 9 to 10 at any given time on SEO. Okay, that's really what we hang our hat on. But we don't try to be a 9 to 10 on Facebook or on paid traffic or on even on email marketing, while I'm teaching it now, it is an important lesson. That's not like the main thing that OMG is organized around. It's not, we don't create the amazing tools all the time. We do work on some tools from time to time, and we do influence other tool creators. But anyways, there's a lot of things we don't do. So you need to be 9 or 10 at one thing, okay? And then everything else you can be from a 4 to a 7 out of 10, okay? Never a 1 through 3. And if we ever dip to a 1 through 3, then get it back up, okay? That's something that I want, that idea I want to kind of overarch everything that I'm saying here, and I'll refer back to it as we go, okay? So we can really be mediocre at a lot. Mediocre. I have no idea how to spell mediocre. Mediocre. See if Word knows how to spell it. There we go. Okay, we can be mediocre. See, I'm mediocre at spelling, right? I'm probably at a 4, but I try not to be. I do kind of double check my spelling before I send things out. I try to be pretty careful. But I trying to dip to a 1 to 3 where it really gets bad. All right. So we can be mediocre at over almost everything. We can be at a 9 to 10 on one thing, and we can really go a long way. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start a new document here, and I am going to teach you the reverse death grip. Now, the origins of the reverse death grip come from the death grip. The death grip is something that that Frank Kern and I used back in the 2006 Sompernet launch and some of the launches. Frank was actually the one who coined the phrase death grip, and the idea was to leading up to like this big hyper frenzy launch where we were planning on only being open for a very short period of time, maybe even only hours. Really getting people excited, both building a buzz in the first place, but then as we proceeded towards the event, really closing a death grip around things where we both created more excitement, where we ramped up excitement for the features of the product, and of course the scarcity as well built at the same time as we get closer to the event. Now, ultimately, such launches, in very rare circumstances, they can be a good idea. Nowadays, people run them all the time. Usually more like 7-day launches, not 1-day launches. And you do see some of this death gripping going on, not a lot of it, but I don't do it that way at all anymore. And what I do instead is what I call the reverse death grip. And so what we do with the reverse death grip is we demonstrate, we are clear and interesting where we can be. And Travis Sago calls this the braingasm, as far as being interesting. Just make this a little bit smaller so it just sort of fits on one line. Okay. Whoops. All right, so we want to demonstrate, we want to be clear and interesting. We want to then talk about the features in a way that feels valuable. And this goes for like any sort of promotion. We can use this technique on any sort of promotion, and I'll detail and explain what I'm talking about. I'll show you. And then always add good energy. Okay, so those are the 4 steps of the death grip, or of the reverse death grip. And let me just look at, oh, Wayne Voss is here. That's great. Great to see it. Oh, that's funny, Ronell. Did he actually teach the death grip in mass control? That's funny. Yeah, this is much more effective when I'm teaching you. Okay, so the reverse death grip. And now, the reverse death grip is going to let us do, it's going to give us actually much more power than a death grip. And it's going to not burn our bridges, burn our list out. Death gripping burns your list out pretty hardcore. It's a real problem with it. Of course, not death gripping, like not doing any sort of nothing at all and just sort of running around aimlessly. That's not good either. The best way to do it is the reverse death grip. And I'll explain what I mean. Now, one of the things I began this event was talking about promotions. Listen, promotions are what make money. All right, so I'm going to step back for a second here. We're going to go more into the details of the reverse death grip as we go. But promotions are central to money getting. All right, now the way we work as human beings is we perceive the things that we are going to want in a way where they happen kind of in this timely way. So if I wanted, when this event began, I wanted to have a cup of coffee in front of me that is not so scalding hot that I could sip it and drink it, but also not too cold, right? I didn't want an iced latte, and so what I did, my little my happy little wedding cakes case study, Paradox Pastry, they're right there, right close to me. So I went there and I got a cup of coffee. Okay, that's now there was a promotion that led to that, the creation of Paradox Pastry and all the promotions that they do to get people in the front door led to that. Now, if we want to get somebody to do something when we want them to do it, okay, or at least entice people to get them to do what we want to do it, then we need to do more. We need to step up our promotion. We need to ramp up our promotion and help them see how it is timely right now, how buying a house right now, there's never been a better time to buy a house. There's never been a better time to buy the new iPhone 5 because I know me and Greg both went out and got the new iPhone 5 within a day or so of it being released. And why? Well, because we clearly understood that otherwise we were just going to be using our iPhone 4 for longer instead of using the iPhone 5, which is just going to be better, right? So the promotion all made sense. We went, we got it. That's great. Now, sometimes we're introducing things to people that they didn't know existed and really will benefit them, but we need to show them how. We need to connect the dots. We don't want to have to overly connect the dots. If we have to overly connect the dots, if we have to start selling internet marketing to French students, high school French students, for example, I guess would be a really bad market for internet marketing. It wouldn't be that we wouldn't find no prospects, but if we just started teaching, going to French classes and pitching online marketing, it would just be quite, ultimately the French students would be sitting there thinking, well, why am I getting this lesson? This is interesting, but why am I getting this lesson now? It doesn't really make much sense. This is something that people really struggle with when it comes to Facebook marketing as a whole, because a lot of times people are there on Facebook in the context of just really being personal. They're not necessarily in business mode or in buying mode, or they might not even be looking for a date or something like that. They might just be checking on their friends or checking their messages or whatever. And this is one of the reasons why Google advertising is so powerful, but both the free ads and the paid ads, because people tend to go to Google to answer a question, and that's a great time to be promoting to people when they're asking questions about how to make their life better, especially when you know the subject. I want to contrast this idea of promotion as the center to money getting versus the educational system model. Okay, now Fletch, I can do a little bit unfair, but I'm going to bring Fletch live. Let me see if I can bring Fletch live. I think I'm definitely going to have to grab my headphones to do this. Fletch, let me know if I can bring you live, because I'm going to I know you're a Harvard grad, so, so I want to talk about the educational model for a second. And there's a reason I'm doing this. It's very, very, very strong in world culture, especially Western culture, the educational model for money getting. And it does not work in internet marketing. It's a real problem. So I'm going to plug in my headphones here and see if I can grab Fletch. Fletch.
Yeah, can you hear me, man?
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for coming live.
Hey, sure.
So, so going to Harvard, that was everything that you needed for money getting, right?
Oh yeah, I got really rich afterwards.
All right, and that's supposed to be the dream. I remember being in 8th grade and being really upset. I got a B in science, and I almost had a nervous breakdown. Not really, but I got really upset because I thought that was going to lead to me not going to Harvard, and I literally specifically thought that that's what I needed to be able to make money. And can you describe to me? I'll tell everyone what I think the educational model is. Can you just try to, like, I'm kind of curious, without me framing it much more than I already have, if you could explain to people, like, well, in your life as a case study, what did you have to do to get into Harvard? And then also once you were there.
It was a constant battle of me trying to figure out how to fit into what I felt the teachers or the professors wanted out of students. I mean, that's like the concept of getting grades. It's like, what does somebody else want from me, as opposed to kind of how you can, you know, teach them or lead them into a solution that you feel is valuable.
I have chills running down my spine right now. That was awesome. Can we get like a thank you to Fletch, because I thought that was an awesome explanation. I definitely could not have explained it better. Abby says, yeah, that was pretty good. I actually make let me make Fletch an organizer so he can see your comments. Okay, yeah, getting a lot of thank yous here. Yeah, it's a great summary. Wow, that's moving to me. That's really moving to me. Yeah, and Fletch has a powerful and very humble story, because if you say, well, I went to Harvard, that didn't work, right? And now, you know, I turned my back on that, and, you know, now I've learned, you know, how to money get. And now, Fletch, I think you also explained, at least began to explain the idea of promotion and what you're saying, because in solving other people's problems, part of solving other people's problems is what we have to do. Let me just show this right here. See, it's not just adding real value. It's also adding perceived value. Okay, so Fletch, the first time you went out to land a client, you really had to explain to them, you didn't just have to have the real value, the real value of search rankings on your side. You needed to be able to help them perceive that value.
Yeah, I approached it, and, you know, the other times that we've talked and some of the other communications we've had, I really approached it, you know, from a perspective of not being an online marketer, of being somebody that was giving them leads, giving them customers, you know, giving them the lifeblood of their business, as opposed to just giving them SEO rankings. So, you know, I kind of built in the next couple steps of having them understand what being #1 in Google would mean.
Right, exactly. Okay, so that's tremendously valuable right there. You're able to connect the dots, and it's not too far of a connection. Again, it's not like that completely, you know, makes no sense, like teaching internet marketing to, you know, 3rd grade French students, right? You know, where there's, you know, where we'd have to build like this, you know, what do? Like start pulling out toys, Transformers and stuff like that, and being like, if you did internet marketing, you could buy Transformers. Right? You know, I mean, they might just say, well, I can just do my chores and get that. Like, you know, like, what are you talking about? You know?
Yeah.
so that goes too far. So then what do? You're like, oh well, you could build your own tree house, or I don't know. Like I mean, at some point it's just too hard to connect the dots. So so then what we want to do next, once we understand that we're in now, actually, let me not breeze past this. You know, you put it so succinctly. I want to really nail talking about this promotional money getting versus educational money getting. Sometimes I run into customers that I really like and I really appreciate, and I know that they're still stuck in this educational model. I know somebody who is a dentist, and he's one of our customers, and not a dentist, but a dental assistant. Sorry, and he does a good job at his job, but the problem is he wants out, and he wants to get out kind of through the educational model. Like he doesn't even realize he's trying to please teachers that are not there. You know, he's just like, but I did what you said, and I'm like, but that's not it. Like you'll know I did what you said when somebody like. You don't have to ask me if you did what I said. Ask your wallet. Okay, and let me ask if that makes sense. Like asking your wallet. So give me the number one. Yeah, yeah, Wayne, definitely. What you just said, definitely. And we're getting you out of that. You're really getting there. Okay, great. And like type in aha if you feel like we just moved the needle for you, where you're because this educational system model is so strong and getting stronger in our culture. And you know, talk about a death grip. You know, it is so strong and getting stronger that all you have to do is please the people around you, please your boss, please your teacher, and that, you know, that's what you need to do, as opposed to taking the promotional model. So give me an aha if we've moved the needle for you just a little bit at least. Moving forward. Okay, Jonas, it did great. Anybody else? This is really what we want to be able to do. Gary, for sure. Great. I'm not putting this, I'm not going to, there's a reason I didn't place this lesson at the beginning of my Money Game with Mike series. I really wanted to arm you and just give you with all kinds of great tools and things that you can do that'll really move you forward. I put it at the end so it would be kind of a soft landing, because this is tough. I mean, it's really tough. If you've gone out there, you've devoted, any American, if you didn't drop out of school, then you've devoted at least 13 years of your life to something that's worth a pile of dog do. It's really a cruel thing. It's a really, really cruel thing. Closing sales. Ronell, can you explain what you mean by that? I'm not quite sure what it means, but it might be a really, really great point. Okay. So now we've talked more about the promotional system versus the educational system, but now what we want is a really powerful model for promoting. We want a really powerful go-to model, and that's going to be the reverse death grip. We can both use this for affiliate marketing, e-commerce, and our own products. Okay, and we can use this for local client consulting. I submit that when you've been successful, if you have been successful in one of those arenas, then in some way, shape, or form, you've stumbled at least in and out of this way of doing things. Okay, so the first thing that I do with the reverse death grip, and I'm going to get into a part here where I start actually going through emails and so forth, and I'm going to talk a little bit about a promotion I'm going to be making up later today or tomorrow and sending out, and that'll help a little bit. But I'm going to go through a couple of very, very successful promotions, and I'll talk about them. And then if you sign up at Area 51, either area51lifestyle.com or themysterymethod.net, then it's loaded into an autoresponder series. You'll get to see 2 reverse death grips, and that'll really give you some good examples to work with. And I'll walk you through that autoresponder a little bit. So once again, going back to the reverse death grip, the cornerstone of it is to, as much as possible, demonstrate what we can demonstrate. Okay. So for example, with relationship advice stuff, then we want to paint a clear picture of that happening with something like lifting weights, bodybuilding, self-improvement that way, physical self-improvement. Then really what sells is before and after pictures. Actually, Ronell, can I bring you live for a second just to kind of question you a little bit? Because Ronell is, if you guys know him well, he's just he's like a cartoon character. He's so ripped, it's crazy. Let me just bring him live. Ronell, are you there? Do you have a microphone, or did I catch you on the spot? Don't have your mic on. Okay, well, we'll plug it in if you can. If you can't, that's okay. I'll mute you again for now. But if you just signal me if you can get your mic on. Ronell explained to me how it was that he was able to get started with bodybuilding. He actually found a book by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and at the time he was kind of stick skinny. He wasn't a big strong guy, and it was the demonstrations in that book that really moved him and really helped him get started. So we want to demonstrate in internet marketing. If I'm promoting something, ideally I want to show it to you on a website. So we just got done promoting Omega SEO, and so what I did was I used oliviawild.org, and I just demonstrated both the process and the tools involved, and then that was the center point of my promotion, was the wild bonus. Give me a number one if you know what I'm talking about when I'm saying demonstration. Give me the number two if demonstration doesn't make sense to you just yet. And if you give me a two, of course I'll try to go like a little bit deeper into it. Okay. Then what we want to do is be clear and interesting where we can be. And I put down this word braingasm. And by braingasm, we want to kind of give people an exciting thought, something that really kind of makes sense to them. In the recent Endgame promotion, I talked a lot about, for example, the book Anti-Fragile, which has this neat idea of something that gets stronger as it's exposed to the elements, as opposed to weaker or trying to be rigid. Our SEO formula is really anti-fragile. So is our conversion formula. It's really anti-fragile. As time goes on, it gets stronger. Okay, the idea, like with a hydra, where you cut the hydras. A hydra's a multi-headed beast, and if you cut one head off, it's not that the head grows back; it's that two heads grow back. All right. So we want to be, and that's an example of braingasm. Then we want to talk about the features. We want to drill down and talk about the features in a way that feels valuable. And just so you know, we don't do this all at once. Okay, we do this kind of one at a time in a series of emails. That becomes then a death grip. All right, a series of emails. Ooh, we got Stephen Saunders on. This is awesome. Stephen, tell me if you've got your headset, because Stephen just recently had a very successful series of promotions by email. And I didn't want to bug him today, but I was really hoping he was going to be on and available for this event. We could talk to him a little bit about that. And then finally, we always want to add good energy. It's not, with email marketing, it's not a question of burning out your list. They want to hear from you, or else they're not going to be on your list. Okay. So we really want to be able to ramp things up and add more and more and more energy to it. I'm gonna try to bring Stephen live and see what happens. Stephen, are you there?
Where haste is king. What if there was a new way to deal with money that focused less?
Okay. All right. I will chat Stephen and let me know when you're around. It may not be possible because it sounds like it's like family time in the Saunders household, but and we'll see if we can track Stephen down. Okay. All right. So I've laid out the reverse death grip. Let's go into some examples here. So in terms of what I'm up to right now, this is a two-part promotion. It's kind of a two-part reverse death grip. Usually a death grip would be a little bit longer, but this is a two-part reverse death grip. Vegas report, free hookup, mystery, ... Okay. And the what's going on with this is, let's see here. Let's see. Let me just open this. Click through here for my free hookup. Open a new tab. Okay, so, whoops. Hopping all over the place. Okay, so this is an event that David Mills, mine and Greg's partner, you see David down here, spoke at, and it included a lot of big names like Deepak Chopra. I don't know how to say his name. Deepak, not Tupac, Deepak. Dr. John Gray, the guy who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and all these quite famous people on relationship advice, on meeting a soulmate. And so that's what we're promoting in this email. And this is pretty neat, by the way. I do recommend you go over and sign up for this. And this isn't exactly the perfect way to meet David Mills and to learn stuff from him. It's not like the perfect venue for that, but it's still quite nice and quite a nifty event. And we'll be releasing quite a large scale relationship advice product in the relatively near future, centering around David. So that's going to be pretty neat. So anyways, that's what we're promoting in this email series. And I've got something here from Fletch, and what I just want to do, Fletch, can you just come live and explain what you're saying here? Because we can just easily bridge into that and then bridge back into what I was talking about, because I'd love to hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I didn't want to.
No, that's great.
I was going to say I didn't want to interrupt while you were
No, that's
rolling.
great.
That's just a concept. Yeah, it's a concept called unschooling, and it's kind of a movement, county culture that is similar to homeschooling, but it can be applied to a lot of different things. And I've taken particular interest in it, in applying it to kind of a mindset for marketing. In that, especially kind of that first point, it was a bullet point taken from that link that I sent you. And I'll just read it real quick. It says, while school has specific books or sets of learning materials, unschoolers can learn from anything. Books they find, things on the internet, siblings or parents, the outdoors, museums, people working in or interesting fields, anything. And that kind of is a basic concept that I've taken in the way the internet works. The internet's just essentially a set of tools to save people time and money and give them frameworks. And so, whatever you have in your background as far as the outdoors or museums or whatever, you can structure that in such a way that it saves people time. That's really the value you provide people in your marketing. So, I kind of approach all my copy and my websites that way, in that I'm saving people time finding, valuable contractors locally, or, affiliate products or whatever that might be.
Yeah, there's somebody who's I just got a letter yesterday. It wasn't long after I got that letter from you, Fletch, and it's from a guy named Dan, and he reminds me of like the construction version of Lonnie in Houston. And what he's doing, he's got a city in Texas where he's ranking for all these construction terms, and kind of out of nowhere he just ranks for all this stuff, and it's a big city, and he's not a construction guy, and he doesn't have a crew or anything like that. But now he's getting so many leads that he's starting to go out on Craigslist and farm out those leads. Does that make sense? So like somebody wants, their driveway fixed, and he'll just find somebody on Craigslist to fix the driveway, and it's turning into like a little cottage industry. Is that kind of the kind of thing that you're talking about there, Fletch?
Yeah, as I see us as marketers in just putting a bunch of dots together for people.
Yeah.
I've actually got clients off Craigslist. I was trying to sell some of my old construction gear, and to kind of incentivize it, I was like, hey, and if you buy this and want to get into this business, the one I used to be in, I'll go ahead and set you up with a website and give you, 3 months free lease. And he's
great.
like, I got in touch. I got contacted by 2 different people who were like, I've already got the gear. I just want the leads. Can we talk about that? So
that's great.
There's a bunch of different ways to get clients. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was talking to I won't spill the beans on it, but I was talking to Joe Marfolio, and he was pointing out one way that you're getting leads I thought was really, really brilliant. Okay, well, great. I think that was definitely valuable, and I definitely appreciate the interruption. I think that was very, very useful. All right, so what I'm going to do is, and by the way, if anyone has questions for Fletch, just type them in, and we'll answer them live, because I definitely want to know, or if something that you want to chime in. Okay. All right. And Ronell's saying that he feels like when he's educating, in his market, I'm not going to say what his market is, but in his market, it's really educating the people that he's selling, the businesses he's selling local client consulting. It's that educating people that's really is selling people. So that explaining the features part of the reverse death grip is really, really powerful for him. I pull that up. And this is something that's oftentimes what happens, if you take like your standard internet marketing pretty spammy list, you just get another promotion after another promotion after another promotion, day after day, promoting different products. Give me a number one if you've ever been on a list where it seems like every single time you hear from the person, it's just a one-off promotion where they're saying, this is the new best thing, that's the new best thing. Just here's this shiny object, here's that shiny object. Fletch gave me a number one. Yeah. Ha ha ha, yeah, Ronell, right. Wayne, okay, great. Yeah, one of the things that you'll see, particularly with the OMG list, is when I start talking about something, I'll take some time with it. And it's the same thing with the mystery list. I'll always do at least 2 promotions. Again, people respect what you inspect. One of the things, how do we always add good energy? Well, for one thing, if we're saying something only once, how important can it really be to us? If we only contact a client once, how important can that potential client be to us, right? It just doesn't make sense that it's that important, and yet we wouldn't at least double check, right? It's very, very, very important. Okay, so I'm talking about a 2-step promotion here. It's for this Attract Your Soulmate event. And this dispatch is the first one, and it's a short dispatch, so I'll just go through it. David actually wrote this. He created it, and then I sort of implemented it. And also just notice that there's just simple building blocks here. We've got an email header. We've got a picture that identifies who I am. Hey, Mike Long here. Here's a scoop. Vegas report. Nice picture of Vegas, so they know. I took that at my hotel room. This is the same one that I used when I did the same photo that I used when I did one of our dispatches for OMG machines. I just got back from Vegas, and I've got a report for you and a free hookup. Let me explain. Now, Vegas, it's always, Vegas, it's crazy. It's sexy. It's wild. And this was no exception. In fact, it was a little crazier than normal. That's because I was attending an invite-only event with some of the biggest names in the world of relationship advice and attraction. The Dow Badass guys were there. Carlos Zuma, Chris Haddad, T-Dub Jackson, Lance Mason, Eric Edgemont, Michael Griswold, Matthew Hussey, Brad Howard, Mirabelle Summers, just to name a few. It was a who's who of the dating world. Mystery, ... I tried to talk Mystery into going, but he had, shall we say, girl plans that he couldn't get out of, wink. Now, there was a lot of partying. One night at Pure, things got particularly out of hand. Picture of girl. Free hookup. But I also walked away with a free hookup, which is hyperlinked, just for you. And if I click on this link, it's going to go to the, where is it? It's going to go to this page. Okay, what happened was that I wound up giving a speech at this event that was well received, two ovations, by the way. And a woman named Ariel Ford came up to me after my speech and introduced herself. Now, Ariel isn't a relationship advice expert, but she is in the relationship of her dreams, and that inspired her to turn her real talents. It turns out she's quite an organizational genius, to gathering some of the biggest names in the world, all in one place. I should have said in the world of relationship advice. Big names, international bestsellers like, wait, I just got a pronunciation guide from Wayne. Let me see if I can use it. Deepak Chopra. All right, tell me if I said it right, Wayne. John Gray, the guy who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Ariel asked if I'd like to speak at the event. I told her I had a better idea. Sexy girl in bed. Now, by the way, this is obviously a list for guys who want to meet girls. That's why there's random pictures of sexy girls. Now, if you've been around the Area 51 lifestyle movement for a while, you may remember Evil Dave, David Mills, the inventor of Aftergame, an incredibly inspirational, successful, high-value relationship advice course that we shared a little while back. Anyways, I told her that I could get David Mills, and Ariel was stoked. In exchange, I asked Ariel if I could share the event with members of our Area 51 lifestyle movement, and she said absolutely. David wound up teaching with Carlos Zuma and Michael Griswold teaming up with Carlos Zuma and Michael Griswold to put together an especially focused mini event on girl getting and girl keeping that you are going to love. Click through here for your free hookup. It's all happening Mike Long. P.S. Don't wait. Get your free hookup right now because your dream girl is waiting. picture of sexy girl. Okay. There should have been a hyperlink in here, but that's okay. They can just scroll up and get to it. So that is the first email. In that email, I am doing kind of the first couple parts of the reverse death grip. I am demonstrating. I am clear. I am interesting. And there's the braingasm we haven't hit yet, but I'm definitely at least clear. So I'm demonstrating and clear. And what I'm going to do in the next email is the second part. Give them a bit of a braingasm, and I'll talk about that in a second. And I'm going to talk about the features of the event in a way that feels valuable. Okay. So first of all, in terms of demonstration, I went to the event myself, right? I physically went. I'm showing that I have investment, okay? The big thing with demonstration is investment. All right, Fletch, when you're what you did, your tool example on Craigslist, it's a demonstration, right? Because you're linking yourself. I'm a construction guy, and I make websites. Like, I'm linked. They are linked. Does that make sense to you, Fletch?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's been really easy for me as far as breaking down barriers, just in being able to talk to people on their terms as opposed to on mine. You have to meet somebody in their where they live before you can bring them to the next place.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a great way of putting it. Okay, you're showing that you are invested. Okay, you're showing by your actions that you are invested. I went to the lengths of going all the way to Vegas to set up this free hookup. Okay, that's what I did. That's what my part of the demonstration was in this case. In the case with the wild SEO bonus, then I took Olivia Wilde. I'll just pull that up. Olivia Wilde. What do you mean? Oh shoot, old version of Safari. Yeah, Wilde. Okay, so I took oliviawilde.org and I set up one of these kind of video style silos that Jason talks about. So if we go to Twitter, then this is Olivia Wilde Twitter. And then if we want to, we can talk about Olivia Wilde's boyfriend. Okay. And I also, so that's a video silo. There's almost no content, just the videos. And then, that was the content of the course. And then I've got on this Olivia Wilde Tron Legacy page, I shot a video showing me adding this hyperlink to this video. So we're kind of trust jacking this video, embedding it on our site. This is somebody else's video for Tron Legacy and putting a hyperlink on it. So that's me demonstrating. That's what Omega Video, their software does, is it allowed me to add this hyperlink. So I'm demonstrating. All right. So that's the demonstration part of it. And so that's an example of that, this reverse death grip. And what am I doing? I'm investing. Okay. I'm investing my time using it. I'm showing that I care. People respect what you expect. I'm using this stuff on a real website that I clearly care about. And so that lets people know, people are constantly understandably nervous that I'm going to say one thing and do something else. Okay. They want to be in the trenches with me instead of this, kind of say one thing, do something else. All right. So one of the nice things about me using this promotion, this Area 51 lifestyle promotion, is actually a particularly compact promotion. This is actually instructions that we got from Ariel on how to promote the event. And one of the things she did, by the way, which is very smart, was she asked all of her affiliates to promote twice. Okay, which I think was very smart. She was very clear about that. And again, she's setting up the expectation. She knows in advance what she wants, and that's what we're doing. Of course, we would have promoted twice anyways, but that makes things particularly clear. And then she's doing a nice job. She's giving you subject line options, copy to work with, and so forth, which I didn't really use. But for the next email, I'm actually much more likely to use some of this stuff here because I'll be getting into talking about the features in a way that feels valuable. So now it will make more sense for me to use some of her swipe copy. And let me go through some of that with you live. All right. So first of all, the braingasm that I'm going to bring to the table for this second dispatch And I might actually build some of the building blocks right in front of you to help you see what I'm doing, time permitting. um, so what I'm trying to do here is give them a braingasm and talk about the features in a way that feels valuable. So the braingasm is going to be telling them a story about how I used to be hanging out with Mystery and all these weird, crazy, interesting pickup artist guys living in Los Angeles, the wild, crazy life. And David invited me to come back to Charlottesville, where I used to live, and to stay with him for a few days. I actually stayed in his house, and I got to, at the time I was single, and I got to witness him with his wife, and she was his relatively new wife. His wife Olia, she does our accounting and used to do some of our customer service. Actually, I do all of our customer service now. And I think they've been married for 2 or 3 years at that point. And it's interesting because the traditional concept in marriage is ultimately you're going to be afraid of your wife, from a man's standpoint. Ultimately, you're going to be afraid of your wife, and ultimately the honeymoon is going to end. And what I explain to people is that I particularly saw them not having that going on, like in the written part of the email. Okay, so the building block part will be me creating headers like Vegas report, mystery with picture. I'll go to deposit photos and grab another 2 or 3 pictures of sexy girls and sticking those in there and so forth. That would be the building blocks part of it. But in terms of, this is the content that I'll be giving people, is talking about David's marriage, about how I witnessed his marriage, how it's extremely high value. It's not that they were like newlyweds clawing at each other and sucking face and making out in front of me. But I could clearly see a spring in both of their steps. That I was welcome, and yet they were still just very much in love. It's very clear. And that they just had a really warm, wonderful relationship. And they both kind of looked at each other with fresh eyes every day. And I thought that was so cool. That's the braingasm that I'm going to give them, is just seeing that. And it also a little bit more of a demonstration as well. So it goes a little bit further into the demonstration. And then what I'm going to do is pick through some of Ariel's features. I'm going to re-explain that David actually spoke at the event. Okay, so that's a feature that I'll get back into, that he joined forces with Carlos Zuma and Michael Griswold and spoke at the event. And then what I'm going to do is go through some of this affiliate stuff. So I'm going to do this a little bit now. So for one thing, I might just take this whole bullet list, and I might prune it a little bit, something that I think that might not be interesting for people. And I'll probably say this comes from Ariel. This is not in my voice. So I don't want to say that something that's coming from somebody else's voice is my writing. That winds up being a little bit jarring. Okay, so sustain a deep soulful connection. I'm probably gonna comment on it. I don't see gotta tell you, I don't see myself saying this kind of stuff to my people on my list. It needs to have a little bit of a zest for girl getting and that kind of stuff. And let me know if some of this stuff is is sort of making sense to you as I'm going through. Give me a number 1 if just the overall process of the reverse death group is starting to coalesce for you a little bit about how this is working. Dawn, it is. I don't expect it to be, by the way. If it's not, that's fine. Jonas, yes. Gary, and let me ask you, is this how you would like to be marketed to? Right? Like, it's pretty respectful for me to market to you this way. Yes, Jonas says. Pete, yes. 1/2 Pete? Okay. All right, well, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. I know I said I might only go an hour, but I've got a pretty good head of steam here. I've still got a little bit of coffee left, so I'll keep going for a little while longer. Gary says it depends. Now, Gary, that's the answer too. Does it depend? Like, is this how you'd like to be marketed to? Now, don't get me wrong. You may not be a guy looking to pick up a girl, in which case this would not be for you. Okay, of course, I'm using an example in a market that's very far removed from many, if not most, of people here. I mean, this kind of thing might work for maybe Ronell, but not for somebody who's married or whatever. Okay. So just different kinds of markets and so forth. Ronell says, haha, because I'm right, Ronell. I know this works for you. It would have worked on me too. I have no shame in saying that. Here's something I'm definitely going to do though. Look at these testimonials. Heck yeah. Copy paste. This is definitely going in there. Okay. I'll probably put this in the PS. Okay. Definitely. when you register today, you'll get immediate access to a limited one-time gift bag, including exclusive never before seen video on meditation. Huh. Yeah, I'm gonna include this too. This PS. So this will be the first. This might be in the body of it towards the end, and then this PS I'm gonna copy and paste into there. So apparently, Deepak gives them a CD or something like that. So I'll put there this here and this here. I am definitely not gonna say choose love to these guys. Okay. definitely not. Uh, 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 Fletch, since I have you on, and just putting you on the spot a little bit here, if you and you may have no comments on this, do you have any comments on what I said before I move on to a different example or questions? Just since I already have you live.
Regarding exactly what, Mike?
Well, really anything I'm talking about here, the reverse death grip and this example of a reverse death grip.
No, I get it. I don't have as well-defined a frameworks as you do, but there's a lot of kind of what you're doing that I'm using kind of.
Well, let's talk about that then. I think that's actually very valuable, because part of the reason I brought you live was to say, hey, what are things that you're seeing, Fletch? You're really growing in your success. Your star's on the rise. You must be doing some of these things. Let's see what things you are doing, and then also let's coach you up and see if there's some ways that you can more systematize things, because having things be more systematized, then the better. We've talked recently about the idea of the narrative. And I think you were there when we were talking about the narrative, right?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I was on that call a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things we're doing with the reverse death grip is we're really creating a clear narrative with our customers, and everything can be inside of that narrative. We don't have to have a fragmented approach to things. This can be our entire approach. This reverse death grip is my entire approach to money getting. It's my whole approach. Everything I'm doing is within this system. If I'm not reverse death gripping, I am setting up to reverse death grip, which ultimately is reverse death gripping. All right. I'm always doing this. I never stop. If I acquire new leads, I am immediately setting them up to have the expectation to be reverse death gripped. Like, this is how I'm going to communicate with people in my promotions, because it's going to give me a consistency. Going back to our idea of broken windows, it is going to it is really going to allow me to trade up with them and to not break windows, to not lose value with them over time. It's going to allow me to gain value with them over time. And that's an assertion I'm giving. I'm not saying I just taught that. I'm just reflecting back my experiences. So let's talk through your process. Where do you see some points of intersection with what you're doing and this reverse death grip? Demonstrate, clear and interesting, talk about the features, and always adding good energy.
Well, I think number one, absolutely. I'm doing that. I'm using that, and that's really kind of how I open the door with a lot of stuff. I talk about how many people are looking for the services, the number of searches locally for a lot of the, types of things that I market to. I don't think I'm doing number two very well at all. And it may be partially because I'm new and I don't really want to paint this pie in the sky picture, just because I don't have as much of a track record to show that. But I think I could do a much better job of that.
Yeah, and it's actually one of the things that as I've watched you, and of course, I have a great degree of respect for what you do. One of the reasons why I try to reflect back to you what I see is that I think, especially coming from such a brainwashing as you did, with the whole Harvard thing, and really trying to detox from that, you're around all these people who have authority because they have authority. Right? Yeah. Like, it's weird. Like, the full basis for their authority is their authority. I'm a professor because I'm a professor. Like, they'll say, like, why are you a professor? Because I have a PhD. Well, why do you have a PhD? Well, because I have tenure. Or like, I mean, just all this.
Listen to the last guy. Yeah, I mean, it's a process that once you get into it, it's been the biggest piece. And we've talked offline or off the public forum enough for you to understand that. Mm-hmm. It's hard to break free from that mentality of saying that I need to fit into the system.
Yeah.
And I think that probably is the piece of me that's still developing as much as anything, is just saying, I I can create not only my own future, but a different future for everybody that I have as customers.
That's awesome. And you're doing that right now. This is the doing of that. You know, I was talking to David Mills about it yesterday. I got to be by the time I was in college, right before I quit wrestling, I was awfully good. And it was funny because I started much later than most of the guys I was wrestling against. Mostly, if you're on the All-American level, which I was by the end, then you are dealing with guys in a lot of cases where they've been wrestling since they were like 5 or 6. I didn't start till I was like 13. And what happened was I got really good on the mat, wrestling on the mat, but I was just terrible on my feet when I was in high school. And the reason I was good on the mat was I had really focused on wrestling on the mat. I perceived it as a weakness that other people had. And I thought, well, I can just crack them, you know, like it's not so bad, you know, I'll give up quite an advantage on my feet, but then I'll win on the mat and I'll come from behind. And by the time I got to college, I really wanted to shatter that. I really wanted to get away from it. One of the things that was interesting was that when I was in high school, I could squat an enormous amount. I talked to Ronell about this. Just an absolute enormous amount. I actually squatted 650 pounds when I was a sophomore in high school. Just that's extraordinarily strong. But I never bench pressed. I don't even know. I believe I have never in my life bench pressed 200 pounds, which is, I know, Josh, it's an enormous amount to be able to squat. I was extremely strong. One time my senior year, I cracked 3 ribs the guy had just with my legs. But the thing was, I was enormously strong squatting, but my upper body was literally pretty much weak compared to the other guys I was wrestling against. I never in my life bench pressed over 200 pounds, for example. Now, by the time I was a sophomore in college, I did 74 pull-ups one time as a sophomore in college. And what I'd done is I really your lats. That's the premier muscle group for wrestling on your feet because it's a lot of pull in wrestling. It's just that's the premier muscle set. Just like squatting is the premier muscle set for wrestling on the mat, then the premier muscle set for wrestling on your feet is your lats. And a lot of guys, what I found out was that they were bench pressing, but they were bench pressing because they wanted to be like Ronell and look good for the ladies. And it does, right? But I wanted to win wrestling matches, so I did pull-ups, and by my sophomore year, I actually beat an All-American. It was just extraordinary, and it wasn't just working out my lats; it was also like really focusing in and learning that skill set of wrestling on my feet. And so by the time I got to be a sophomore in college, I was very good at it. In the same way, you don't want to have this disjointed, come from behind approach. If there's anything I want, ultimately, to convince NHBers to do is to come from ahead. Is to really have an absolute unfair advantage and come from ahead and never relent. And that's the approach I want you to take. That's what we really try to do for you is give you an unstoppable advantage when it comes to marketing. And therefore we want you to have real strength, not just when it comes to SEO, but also when it comes to money getting, the actual money getting with the SEO. And it's really critical having these steps down, making it part of a demonstration. You've got that down. That's big. That's giving you a huge edge. But being clear and interesting, including like really looking at yourself and looking at the value points of yourself and being able to reflect that back to other people. I think, Fletch, that you are extraordinarily good with language, not in a book sense, but actually in a real common sense way. I think everybody here, give me the number one if you felt like it was a braingasm when Fletch explained promotional money getting versus educational system money getting. Give me the number one if that was a braingasm for you, right? And so Fletch, you can see that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and that to me is what something. It was a braingasm for me when you said it. Okay. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's okay. That's okay, Wayne. This is recording. This is recorded. So now being clear, that doesn't mean promising people the sun, the moon, and the stars, and some stars that haven't been named. So often, if we can just explain to them what we are going to do, and just clarify what the progression of that is going to be, then that's enough. Okay, clarifying the progression. And one of the ways that we clarify the progression is by talking about the features in a way that feels valuable. All right. So as I'm getting into this second email I'm talking about, the first email, it was really just, I was talking to people who, as long as I just get out there and have good energy and demonstrate a little bit, and I'm clear, we'll just say, okay, Mike's got a free hookup. I'll give it a shot. Right. That's just bringing the energy up, introducing the idea. The second email that I'm creating right now is going to be more about talking about the features in a way that feels valuable and kind of giving people that braingasm. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about that story about David and his wife Olia, and that's going to be a little bit more of a demonstration, but it's also going to kind of create a braingasm. This idea of you're just putting the idea out there of a relationship where the honeymoon never ends. Okay, that's the braingasm. Okay, a relationship where the honeymoon never ends. And then what I'm going to do is talk about the features of this course, and I'm going to go through some. So let me do some of that here. Okay. So what's going on here? So some of the features are, hey, there's some speakers here. One of them is Harville Hendrix. Now, let me take a look at some of these other speakers. Actually, Gay and Katie Hendricks. This is really neat. Okay. I actually just read a book by them. Okay. And they have a book that came out recently, a couple years back. And it talked about, yeah, I'm going to put this in this email, okay? And I'm working through this with you as we're going along. And hey, look, I'm at the world master level when it comes to this. That doesn't mean, oh, Sai, I shrug my shoulders. You know, Mike can do this at this world mastery level. I'll never get there. It's not that at all. It didn't take me, you know, my whole life to do this. It just took me a few years of focus to get really good at it. And I really learned a lot when I started working with world class wrestlers. My sophomore year in high school, I wrestled with a guy who's an Olympian, and it was incredible. I learned so much. There was a whole different world, and that really helped me. So I'm trying to do that for you now. Gay and Katie Hendricks, they wrote a book, and it was about codependency in marriage. And what they said is that so many marriages are based on a bad deal. And they give this great example. And I'm going to put this example in this email. So the example is they had a couple come in, and they've been married for 20 years. On their first date, the woman was quite taken with the man, and she felt like he. And I'm explaining kind of a feature of this event. A feature of the event is that it has this author, and this author explained this scenario. So I'm kind of giving them a feature of what's going on here. So they're doing therapy with this guy and this gal. They're a married couple, and the first date that they went out on, the woman was quite taken with the man, and he seemed handsome, attractive, and had a good job, and so she really liked him. You know, she felt like he was really great. She felt chemistry with him, and they had a drink, and everything was great. They had another drink, everything was great. But on the third drink, the guy started getting mean. Okay, he started. First, he said that a guy at another table was looking at her, and it was making him jealous. He didn't like it, and then he started talking bad about people in his life in a way that was aggressive, and it scared her. And it turned out that she had a past with her father where he had really controlled their family through anger, and she really grew up being afraid of him, and things got very, very bad with her father, and he actually died when she was 18 in a drinking and driving accident. And she came to a decision point there on that first date where she wanted to talk to this guy about the drinking. She didn't like it. It scared her, but she was also really afraid to lose him. And what happened was she was too afraid to lose him to bring it up. And what she thought that she could do is kind of make up the difference, make things better, and just be kind of nice enough that he would just quit drinking. And now it's 20 years later, and he has lost his job. She got a job to try to make up for it. He kept drinking more and more, and they now just have a miserable life. And so it's 20 years later, and it's not that she took, and this is what I'm going to say in the email, it's not that she didn't take the shortcut. It's that she didn't take the only cut. The only cut, the only way for her to have a good marriage was not to enter into this codependent pact, this codependent bad deal. The only way for her to have a good marriage with this guy was to risk the marriage and say, listen, I really like you, okay? And I liked having a couple drinks with you, but when you got to that third drink, you got mean. That scares me. It doesn't mean that you're wrong, okay? But but it doesn't work for me. And so this is a killer brain, guys. I might actually turn this into 2 emails. Like now I'm talking about it. I feel like this is a 2 email. Like one will be about David and Nolia, and the other will be about this Gay and Katie Hendricks, where I can really explain. Wow, there's some premier people. It's not just Deepak and John Gray and David Mills. And some of the other people you might have heard of, like Carlos Zuma. It's also like this Gay and Katie Hendricks have this great idea that I want to share with you. Okay. And so now what I'm doing is I'm really getting into, and at that point, what I'll probably do is chop up their testimonials, use 2 of their testimonials in the first email, 2 of their testimonials in the second email, and then have this PS both times. Okay. Now, does that make more sense to you? And I'll just ask you, Fletch, if that brings things a little bit more to life for you.
Yeah, it does, Mike. I'm as you're talking, that's how we teach. We tell stories about ourselves, and the other person listens. But I'm painting all those pictures for myself as well, and figuring out how I can, not only apply that to what I'm doing as a marketer, but also thinking about my own relationship.
Well, that's the most gripping thing, by the way. There's an old analogy in copywriting where you send the letter to your friend, the sales letter or the sales video to your friend who's also a marketer, and he writes you back and he says, "Oh, it's a brilliant headline, oh, I love the graphics, love the the call to action was brilliant. I love how you did that." And the idea is, if they say that to you, rip it up and start from scratch, okay? But if instead you send it to them and they say, "Man, I bought it and I loved it," now you got them, okay?
Yeah.
And so, and what did I do in that? Now everyone here has seen my email, so you see what I'm doing. But what I'm now doing is showing you how I'm constructing this email, okay? How I'm getting to it, how I'm getting into the guts of it, the nuts and bolts of it. And what I'm doing is seeing where I've got you. Oh, I didn't get you. You're so confused. Great. Let me dig in deeper. Let me demonstrate more. Let me get into some of the features. Let me, play around with it. Let me wrestle with it a little bit. And then so much so where you started feeling it personally and emotionally. So give me the number 1 if things are starting to make more sense for you. And give me a 2 if I'm still kind of out in outer space for you. And it's no problem either way. Oh, wonderful. Okay, I'm getting a lot of, and I really want to hear that too if I'm in outer space for you, or you can give me like a 1/2 if I'm kind of getting there. All right. What I want to do at this point is, I guess what I'll do is I'm going to make a building block or 2 for you, for some of the things I'm talking about, and then we'll take questions and then call it a day. All right. So for building blocks, I'm going to open up good old Snagit here. And let's make up a new screen here. Oh, actually, let me see. Hopefully I have a template that I can work with here. I bet I don't. Let's see what this is. Huh. Maybe I can work with this. This is pretty cool. All right, I'll work with this. I might not wind up using this in this email. This is an old one I developed for OMG when we were first getting started. So I'm gonna make a subheader here. I'm gonna go to this font. I have this really expensive font that I bought that I just absolutely fell in love with. I bought it about a year ago, and I wasn't really good enough yet with graphic design to really employ it in a way that was clear, but I've been using it a lot recently. It's called Extreme. I think it costs like $200 for this font, which is kind of crazy. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was like $50. Wild SEO. Okay. We're not really going to do that as a subheader. All right. So, all right, here's one. Codependency. Okay. Now, that's a power. That's something that's going to make people feel powerful. Like that, that's. Does that make sense? How that's a power word as a subheader that could really, for you, Fletch, does that make sense that people would respond to that and it would keep them reading and kind of keep them riveted?
Yeah, if they're in that space and reading that definitely hooks them.
Yeah. Okay, great. So codependency could be one. So I'll call that CD. Again, I don't know if I would particularly use this background. I'll have to think about whether this really meshes. It's kind of blueprintish. It might not work for people. This should be actually a little bit bigger. Codependency. Okay. I probably would not link a picture of a girl to this because it's gonna. This is a harsh thing to say. Okay. And if I say something like this, I've really got to calibrate back and step people back and work them back to that idea of having a relationship where the honeymoon never ends and how worth it that is to you. And then I'll say like the honeymoon never ends, and then it will be time to show them a sexy girl. Does that make sense? All right. Give me a number one if that makes sense to you. So we really have to be careful with harsh messaging. Okay, great. That is making sense to people. All right, great. All right, let's do a nicer subheader. Let's do honeymoon never ends. Honeymoon. That it's gonna have to be smaller. I might say like never-ending honeymoon. That might be easier. Honeymoon never ends. Let's try to work with this a little bit. Okay, now for a subheader like this, gotta have a sexy girl. Does that make sense for this market? Give me a number one if it definitely makes sense to you. Why this one's got to definitely have me pinning a picture of a sexy girl to it for this market. Pete gets it. It's good. Okay. All right. So I'll go grab a sexy girl. So I'm going to go to depositphotos.com. This is one of my favorite sites because seemingly you get like the same stuff that you get on. On the other sites like iStock, and then it just costs less. All right. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. All right, so let's go, girl. And with this one, I might go for somebody who's sexy, but not like overtly like it's time to have sex right now at this moment. Sexy, if that makes sense. You know, I almost never use couples with this site because I don't think these guys want to see other girls. Like this girl. This is a honeymoon never ends kind of girl. All right, that's you know, like whereas like this girl right here crawling on the floor in her lingerie, too much. I would use this girl for this market, but not in this message. That's too much. Okay, so this girl is a good example of a honeymoon never ends girl. This girl, too much. Because I want just a little bit of a feeling of a girl next door. Yeah, like the girl's partying. Nope, that's no good. This girl, I like this girl here, but not for this. Not for honeymoon never ends. Okay, could have used this girl. Okay, but we already used her last week. So I'm gonna go with this girl for honeymoon never ends. Also, it's a little bit of a feeling like she's on vacation. You know, like you might go and have your honeymoon, you know, somewhere where there's a beach, and she's smiling at you, and it's very nice. Okay, so this is our honeymoon never end girls. All right, and so let's open that sucker up in Photoshop. This is the part of our show where I make this look like a photograph. Okay. Oops. Open up some old ones. Here we go. Okay, I used number 16 out of 50 photo effects or 50 images or something like that. All right, that looks good. I don't want to chop off her midriff there. So I'm not going to save there. I'm going to just move this down a little bit, crop down a little bit. Okay, much better. Actually, I still think it's cropping her midriff a little bit. I don't like that. Okay, do it again. Okay, and then I'm going to get rid of that background. We'll go to the image. I'm going to add a drop shadow to the image to make it look like a 3D photograph kind of thing. And that looks great. Now I'm going to save it as Honeymoon Girl. PNG to our desktop. Okay, so that's saved. Now let's bring her into the picture. Drag it in. Make her a little larger. Okay. And I might pin her to this this image here. So let's go find a pin .png just on Google. Pin PNG. Okay, this one's fine. So I'm going to save this. Okay. Got a little bit smaller. Let's change the tilt on this just a little bit down here. Honeymoon never ends. I love this. This is a great subheader now. I really like this. I still don't know if I can hang with this blueprint subheader for this market, but maybe I'll think it through before I send this email out. But I'm gonna say this: honeymoon never ends. Okay, and now that's gonna go in to our one of our follow-up emails, either the second email, and I'll probably use this both in the second and the third email to kind of reinforce that that idea. I may change the girl. I like giving them different fresh girls. It's weirdly one of the enticements for opening the emails in this market is just to kind of feel like you're around girls. It's a little bit of a relief, like, oh, this is nice. There's pretty girls staring back at me. There's plenty of pretty girls out there. Kind of helps you remember that, and so on. All right, so you got to see me create a couple subheaders for this email dispatch going out. I explained a few things about it. Give me just final questions, final thoughts, anything that anybody wants answered at this point. Went a little bit longer than I was originally expected. Let me see what we got. Grab a pic of Stephanie. Ronell says, "Oh, that's great." I'll do that, Ronell. I'll stick Stephanie in one of the follow-ups. Deposit photos are the best, Gary Joseph said. Yeah, did anybody notice that was a $1 picture? It's not bad. I think it's actually like a little bit less than, wait, let me look. Fletch just sent me an email. Ooh, heck yeah, I can use that. Can you, see, how can I get that? How can I send that over to myself without opening up my email inbox? Oh, I can use a little flash drive. Man, that's badass, Fletch. I heard some picture clicking. I didn't know what it was. I was suspecting you're up to something sneaky. All right, Wayne. Wow, honey, Mono wouldn't end with that. Who's honey Mono? Kind of girl you'd bring home to your mom. Yeah, exactly, Wayne. I definitely honeymoon never ends. It has to be a girl that you would kind of take home to mom. So yeah, like and different guys of course have different different standards for what that means, but there's got to be, you know, some amount of, you know, reasonableness with things, right? So having the girl cry, and again, having the girl, the sexy girl crying on the floor is fine for these guys, but just not under those conditions. Let's see, just moving this photograph in. Oh, here we go. Okay, it's in there. Alrighty. And let me just grab this here. Wow, Wayne says, "Wow, I'm really good at this, Mike." Really good at what, man? What? Talking? No, I'm just joking around. Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate that. I love doing this. It's yeah. I could kind of get into more of it, but I'm quite good at it. Just got this from Fletch. Just want to show this to you guys. That's awesome, Fletch. That's awesome, dude. I'm real proud of you every single time. 10,747.93. Awesome. Money getting. That's awesome, dude. I just love it. I really, really love it. I'm sincerely grateful just to be a part of it. Love getting earnings reports from you. Jason, you can send that email to omg@omgmachines.com. You can send it omg@omgmachines.com. Okay. Now, Fletch, what's the awesome resource that you were saying?
Oh, I was just talking about your the photo resource.
Oh, deposit photos is great.
Yeah. No, I got the SEO part down, and I got rankings, and I'm working on conversions and stuff now. And you know, I'm
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. Okay. So finishing questions, final stuff from the Peanut Gallery. You know, I really loved doing this series, Money Getting with Mike. It's really, I want you to know every single individual who attended these events made it possible for me to create this training for you, because with Red Carpet Conversion, when I created that for you, that was me sitting at Starbucks creating something for you. But I had to imagine you there. I had to imagine the individual there that I was talking to. We had so many guests come on during these events to speak with me live. Fletch a couple times at this point. Joe Marfolio. Ronell came live one time. Clinton came live one time. We had several special guests come live. Really appreciate you, the people who came live during these events. Josh Scaff came live one time. So really, really appreciate everybody who came live to talk during these events. And also just every question, every number one or number two that went back and forth, that created energy for me to teach, for me to go back and forth with you. So I really enjoyed creating this series for you. Jason's saying, does this work for affiliate marketing on a website too? Yeah, dude, absolutely. I mean, this is, first of all, this is affiliate marketing. You're watching me create an affiliate marketing promotion on a website. This is what I do is I capture email leads and mail them stuff like this. And you know, if you'll sign up for that autoresponder series on themysterymethod.net, then method.net, you'll see a canned series, an autoresponder series that just flat out sells and sells and sells and sells. It's just made thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars promoting two specific products. And then you'll continue to see other emails that'll come out over the course of time. But both for Tao of Badass and for Mark Ling's conversion or conversation chemistry. So yeah, it absolutely does work. Also, Pete says thanks. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you as well. Also, let's go over to OMG blog. Now, remember, when it comes to email marketing, really, it's just imperative that you study Mike Long's dispatches on OMG blog. So if I go to omgmachines.com/blog/dispatches, then we've got Mike. And I'm going through a bit of a change up with how I present this. I'm not going to leave it this way. I was just kind of trying something. But you can see all these dispatches down the side here, okay? And I've got them kind of in timeline order right here. these are reverse death grips because it's the only way I do things. Okay, so Omega closes at midnight, wild hyperlinking bonus, all this stuff. So it all began with turbocharge SEO. Was the first email in the series. No. You know what? I don't have the first email in the series put in here. I may go back and add it, which was the lead up to the webinar. Then we've got Omega Project Replay. So I'll probably go back and add this June 20th one. Then Rapid Rankings Explained, right? So this is where I start going into the explanation of the features. Wild Hyperlinking Bonus. That's where I showed me creating that Olivia Wilde video. Omega closes at midnight. It's finally closing, right? So that's this 4 email series plus the one that filled up the webinar, 1 or 2 emails I sent to fill up the webinar. That was the reverse death grip for NHBer, Alexander Becker's Omega SEO. Okay, so that's an example there. Also very, very important to me. The number one important thing. I love the thank yous I'm getting here. Really appreciate them. The number one best way to thank us is to go to omgmachines.com/blog/NHB and put out the word there for people. Put out the word for NHB, what you think about it. If you've commented once, feel free to comment again. You can follow up in the responses and so forth. We have lots and lots of Facebook comments here, lots and lots of regular comments here. Really grateful and appreciative for every single one of them. They mean the world to us. Really, really appreciate that. So let's just get final comments, final questions, anything that anybody has. Don says, always valuable my teaching. Gary says, appreciate it, Mike, thanks. Abby, love it. I will have it. Oh, Abby's got an earnings report coming. That is awesome, Abby. I love that. Nick, thanks, Mike. You're most welcome, Nick. Jason, thanks so much. Amazing stuff. Really appreciate that. That's great. Fletch, a special thank you to you. Thank you for the letter yesterday and the earnings report today. So exceptionally cool. You really brought things to life for me. I had a major aha moment or two as you were talking. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're such a big part of the NHB movement, and appreciate your gratitude and appreciate your generosity. You sharing makes all the difference in the world to me. All right. Again, more thanks to Fletch. Jesse says, thanks, Mike. Appreciate your teachings. Great. Yep, you're welcome, Fletch. Fletch said thank you to me. So that's great. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to end this event. Enjoy studying it. Enjoy Money Getting with Mike. I'll be putting that into as a whole separate series, probably less than 1 or 2. And of course, I'll make an announcement and let you guys know about that when I install it into your NHB members area. Thanks, everybody. Take care. God bless you. Jonas, my first NHB webinar, it was awesome. Thank you to Mike. Thanks for Fletch. That's wonderful, Jonas. What a great way for you to begin. Susan, thanks, Mike. I've enjoyed your webinars. Thank you, Susan. It's been a privilege. I really enjoyed these, and I think you'll get a lot out of them as you study them. So thank you very much. Thanks to everybody. I appreciate you all, and I will see you inside of NHB and Endgame.